Gabriele,
Hello.
brother, thank you so much for being here today, bro. The whole point of these chats is whoever watches it will maybe learn a thing or two that's new.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll start by kind of talking about your background. Where are you from, bro?
Yeah, so I'm from Milan, Italy. I grew up, I was born in Milan and then I was adopted when I was 3. And then I spent the first 16 years in Milan, and then I eventually went to Canada for an exchange year. I went to Vancouver. And then I stayed there. I was supposed to be there for like a year. And then because of COVID, I was actually sent home a little bit earlier. So I was supposed to go back home in June 2020. And then I actually ended up going home in April. And then I went back to Milan, and then I did my bachelor in corporate communication and PR. And then I just, I actually came here in 2023 to do an internship in July, and then I was supposed to go back home in September. And then I just liked it so much, and my visa was valid until July of the following year, so like 2024. And because my university didn't require attendance for lectures, I was like, why do I have to go back? I don't really need to, because like if I go back home and then I don't even go to class, then like what's the point, And so I just ended up staying, and I ended up getting hired at the place I was interning for. And then I just stayed until December, and then I went back to do my exams, the first round, and then I came back again in February 2024, and then I stayed here and I kept working for the same company until the end of May, and then I went back and then I graduated in
So a lot
November?
of back and forth. A lot of back and forth between Australia and Italy?
Yes.
Okay. And Milan, I believe, is the fashion capital of the world?
It is, yeah.
And
one of the 4, yeah.
One of the 4. What are the other 3?
Well, there's New York, Milan, London, and Paris.
Paris, okay.
Well, of course. Paris, yeah.
And in the short time I've known you, you're into fashion.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yeah, I am.
Okay. Maybe talk a little bit about your interest, the roots in fashion.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, Milan is like a very fashionista like city. There's lots of, not just influencers, but also like models. And it's very easy, especially if you go to like university, especially private universities. Like it's so easy to kind of stumble upon, models or people who work in the fashion industry. And I mean, Milan economy is like so heavily centered on fashion, and so like it doesn't really matter where you go, like you don't even really need to be into fashion. Like if you live in Milan, you're gonna know something about fashion, because it's like, either the people that you know or whatever place you end up going at, like there's always something fashion related going on. And so that's kind of how I kind of approached that world with, when I started uni, and the lockdowns got lifted and we were able to go back outside. I met my best friend in university, and she's a model.
Oh, wow.
And so through her, I started like kind of getting access to all these like events, and then I ended up meeting more people, and then one thing led to another, and then she really got me into fashion as well. Like, I think before I didn't really, I was just kind of like buying stuff, left and right, whatever I was like kind of looking at, I was just like buying it. And then I really got into secondhand clothing.
Thrift shopping kind
Yeah, like there's a really amazing app in Europe. It's called Vinted.
Okay.
Which unfortunately is not available in Australia, but it's like a Depop, if you know, like it's like that. But like you can just find so many great articles for like half the price. And that's also like how I kind of then got into it a little bit more. And I feel like now I would love to be able to do a job in the future that has something to do with fashion. Maybe not like obviously fashion like making the clothes, but you know, a little bit behind the scenes, you know, like numerical stuff or kind of managing whatever store.
Do you see fashion as a form of self-expression?
I do. I see it as a form of a self-expression. I see it also. I mean, fashion is art. Like there, you know, you don't have to make a statement with fashion, but like you do. Like even if you don't want to, like at the end of the day, like that's kind of one of the first things that people see about you. You know, they see your face, they see your outfit. Today it's like I'm very relaxed actually, but I definitely do take pride in looking presentable and kind of. I mean, I'm a little bit self-conscious about like the way I look, so I feel like
Really?
diverging into clothes is like a good way of like.
What are you self-conscious about? But in general, like.
I mean, like just you know, like appearance-wise.
Nah, brother, you're a very handsome guy. Don't say this. Come on, bro.
Well, you know, we all have. You know, I mean, I had a nose job when I was when I got out of high school. It was actually during COVID, but I just ended up. My dad's a doctor, so.
What kind of doctor?
He's a like neuro-orthopedic surgeon, so he does like hands and feet. It's like a very specific type of surgery.
Bones?
Not bones, but like nerves and you know whatever. Like it's usually people who have had like I don't know what the name for it is in English, but like ictus.
Mm-hmm.
It's when people usually have some sort of like accident and they can't use their hands anymore or their feet, and he just goes in and it's like a really like precise surgery where you just kind of fix you know the nerves inside, and so people can like use their hands again and walk again.
Like get dexterity.
Yeah, like some people maybe have like their hands stuck like this and they can't move it, and so he has to like adjust it, and then through physiotherapy eventually they will be able to like move them again.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's intense. So your dad is a doctor, and what did he say about the nose job?
He was actually the one that I mean my parents, they both asked me because my mom used to work for this plastic surgeon when she was a nurse, and then they became friends because they were this plastic surgeon was also looking to adopt children, and so they kind of bonded over that. And then my mom got a nose job from that plastic surgeon, and then my sister, when she turned 18, she also had a nose job from that same doctor. And then my brother, before COVID, had a septoplasty because he had a like deviated septum.
Oh, okay.
And then
yeah, I think my nose is a bit deviated. Seriously, you think I need a nose job, bro?
Well, look up. I think you do have a little bit of a deviated, yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, you could get it for free like through insurance, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what he did. He also had like.
So I need a nose job apparently.
No. But he just had like a lot of issues with his eyes. It would just turn red.
Why?
Because like the deviation was like blocking some.
Oh, you left it like clots and stuff like this.
Yeah, like it was really, really bad.
Okay.
And so he got a septoplasty, and then through that he also got like a bit of a nose job. And so I was the only one left out. And then when I turned 18, my parents, they just kind of asked me if I was considering it. And I was like, yeah.
What was your nose like before?
I'd say like it was very, very similar. They just shaved off like a little bit here.
Okay.
And like I feel like you can't really tell, like it's so like.
How long does the procedure take? If this is not personal,
No, not at all. I want to say like you mean how long does it take for the surgeon to like?
Yeah,
actually...
how does it work? Like how does it work from start to end?
So there are two ways you can go about it. One way is if you make a slit through here, like this part here, and then you like lift it, and then they just
like
go in. Yeah, and then they just go in and they literally like they're very violent because they have to like shave the bone, right? So they're like hammering, shaving.
They hammer your nose.
No, well maybe not, but like you know what I mean. Like they have to like it's quite like I feel like if you were to see a video of like surgery, you would get freaked out. And that's kind of why, like, when you wake up, you're all swollen and you get bruises because, like, they're, like, you know, hammering. I mean, not hammering literally, but, like, they're shaving your face really hard. But the way I got it was instead of cutting it here, they just cut it, like, inside the nostril because they didn't really have to change that much. So they just made, like, an incision in my like, right nostril, and then they just shaved down a little bit.
Damn, that's wild. And were you like sedated?
Yeah, of course. That's like general anesthesia. You just like.
How were you before? Were you scared? And
No, I was just so excited. I was so like happy that I got to do it at the time that I did. Like I had just finished high school, and the slot opened up the week before, and I was like, yes, I'll do it.
this was in Milan.
Yes.
And does it hurt when you wake up? Do you feel pain or?
I feel like the worst part is only when they have to clean your nose after the surgery, like a week after you go in and you have to get the stitches out. And you also they have to put like, it's either silicone or something else, but it's like tubes to hold the shape. And so when you're done, they literally pull them out. And it's freaky. I think I have a video of that actually.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's painful.
You have a video.
Yeah.
Do you want to share it with? Should we put it as an overplay over here?
If I find it, I'll send it. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm scared of even seeing it, but like maybe for people that want some perspective on this.
I don't know if I have a video of that, but I definitely have a video of like when I got home after the surgery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe share one of them.
Yeah.
Like as long as I don't faint, I don't know when I because I'm very queasy when I see blood and stuff. So like nose job, is this a common part of fashion? Is this an extension of fashion in Milan? Plastic surgery?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, I think that more than plastic surgery, what I kind of noticed, especially with my friend, is that, and this is something that I didn't know, but models, if they change measurements, their agencies will like punish them and they won't pay them. So when you're a model, you get paid 3 months after whatever job you get.
Like a contract or something.
Yeah, so like let's say you do a job in June, you get paid in September.
Yeah.
And if you change measurements, they take an extra percentage over what they are taking already. So you end up getting with like maybe 10-20% of what you're actually supposed to get paid. And so models are like, that's why they're so obsessive when it comes to food and measurements and weight. And I didn't know that. And then once I found out, like, it made sense how models are so easily, like, you know, they just develop eating disorders very easily and insecurities. Because, like, you go to a casting and, you know, you have a whatever director and he's like, he looks at you in 1 second and then he's like, nose too big, hips too wide, you know, you're too fat, you're too short, you know. And so when you go to like, I don't know, 30 castings a season, and in the span of like a week you get told that you're too fat, you're too wide, you're too short, and this and that, and it's just like, it's horrible.
That would wear down on you. Also, I'm sure when
yeah.
people start to age, which is an inevitable part of life, I guess the models are so attached to their identity that when they age, they start to see whatever this as an extension of themselves.
Absolutely.
And then their self-esteem becomes even worse.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why
it's already like horrible.
And then from there, they go to plastic surgery.
Yeah,
and I think there's a lady, very famous, Versace?
Donatella Versace, yeah.
And she did quite a bit
She is quite known for having, but like, really botched plastic surgery. But I mean, she's a visionary. She's incredible. The work that she does is incredible. But the faces.
Well, what makes her work so special for you?
I think that it's the fact that she was able to take over the company from the brother and just kind of, you know, keep going with the same vision that he did. And not only that, but like, especially after COVID, Versace had like a big kind of renaissance. They were able to like adapt, because like Versace was getting quite tacky and quite, you know, like
Really?
over like the whole gold. It was just getting
Over the top.
It was just
Yeah.
getting like people were not really into that,
Yeah.
and they were able to like come up with different patterns and different things and kind of. I remember they had like a big moment with their platform shoes. So yeah.
Like Dr. Martens almost, like those type of...
No, like heels, but like the Medusa heels.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
but
that wasn't a vibe for you, or...
no, they're like this high.
Okay,
They're
yeah.
like sorry.
It's like a person. That's a whole person right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn, that's intense.
Yeah.
So you're really into fashion, and one more thing you're really into is techno.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
Okay, so I have to preface there's a
Yeah.
difference between techno with a K and techno like CH, right?
Specify this. I don't know none of this.
So no, because people get really fussy about it.
Yeah.
So when you say techno, usually people refer to like techno, TECHNO, right? So like techno. I'm gonna say techno.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's kind of usually like what most people refer to. But in Western Europe, there's a big raving culture, right? It's like free party culture. And in that scene, it's not techno anymore, but it's techno with a K. And they get very fussy about it if you get them mixed, because like the raving kind of techno is different, and there's like a whole culture around free party for free people. That's kind of like the motto, free party for free people. And it's like people in that space really want to differentiate themselves
From techno.
because like they really value like the whole idea of being free from, I mean, not just the party itself being free, but it's also about being free from like whatever laws and whatever. So it can get very
So maybe you can disambiguate the difference between techno, or like you're saying,
Yeah.
techno with a K, because for me, I thought it was CH.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Is it a different genre altogether?
So techno with K is just a subgenre of techno.
Oh, okay.
And the main difference is that, like, if I were to play you to like a techno and a techno song track, you would probably like think that they're the same.
But they're different.
But it's all about like like techno with a K, they tend to be more, they tend to have more of a kick.
Like a bass?
Yeah, like
Okay.
the bass is usually like stronger, and they tend to be more like jumpy. I don't know if but but yeah, it's like the whole kind of culture of free party, free people, and that's kind of what they fight for. And it's a nice, like, it's quite an interesting environment, because there's people, there's all kinds of people. And you can find some interesting people, you can find some questionable people as well. But for me, like, it's all about the music. For me, like, as long as the music is good, it can be, whatever location, I'm happy to be there.
What attracts you to techno with a K? Is the kick?
Yeah, it's more about, like, I think the thing that like, when I first got into techno, it was really about just kind of the sensation that it makes you feel, I really like to move. I really like to kind of, hop around. I like to just feel the music. And I think that with techno, it's not something that I really have to think about. It's just something that kind of comes naturally.
You feel it like viscerally within your...
Yeah,
the cells of your body.
I just really feel it like kind of moving me.
It makes you come alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for anyone that wants to know more about techno with a K,
Yeah.
what artists would you recommend for them to kind of take a dive in?
Okay, I have a whole playlist,
Oh, wow.
actually,
Okay.
but I think that if you're just getting into techno, I would say maybe like Loco with a K, so LOKO. He has some really good stuff. Or Lewansky, Lewansky. He's really good. He's French. Or Neurotribe or Gandatech. So many.
Is there much of a techno with a K scene in Australia?
No, that's the thing. The thing is that this whole techno free party thing is really limited to Western Europe. Like if you go even to just Russia, like it's not, it's not a thing there. Even if you go to like America or Australia, it's just, I mean, here in Australia there are raves, bush doofs, right? Some of them are free, some of them are ticketed. Not all of them are legal, but the music is just not the same. The people are not the same because in Italy, people tend to be a lot older. Well, here, if you go to like a bush doof, it's mostly teenagers. Just
so it's a whole different crowd as well.
Yeah,
different demographic.
very different. Yeah.
And with techno, is there like vocals?
There can be. So the thing that I like about techno is that you can take anything and remix it into like a techno track. Like literally take any audio, any song, just anything you can think of, you can turn it into a techno track.
It's amazing, bro.
It is.
It's amazing. So we've talked about fashion, we've talked about nose job, we've talked about Milan, your hometown, and we've also talked about techno. With this said, I think that's pretty much, we're running the end of the conversation, but I want to ask you a question. This is normally a question I ask at the end of every conversation, which is, if for anyone that's watching, do you have a piece of advice you could give them? Any piece of advice?
I do. I think the biggest piece of advice that I can give is that you just need to let things be, because I feel like we're all fortunate enough to just kind of live in a situation where we don't really ever need to stress too much about anything. Like I think that we're also privileged in a way that
100%.
It's like, I know that my life is gonna be okay, and I'm so blessed to know that, and I don't like stressing. So I just don't see the point of stressing when you should know that life is gonna be okay. Just let it happen. There's ups and downs, but I mean, everything's just gonna sort itself out.
And I think that links in very nicely with what a person right here said, which is like the essence of joy is gratitude, right?
Yes,
the essence of joy is gratitude. And when you're talking about letting stuff flow, actually Buddha, he said that situations are actually neither positive nor negative. They're all neutral. They're just positive or negative based on what we assign to it.
Exactly.
So going with the flow, and it's a practice though. It takes practice.
It does, but yeah.
That's beautiful, bro. Thanks so much for being a part of this.
Well, thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.